right? Now, being alone is not lonely. Yeah, we have to understand there's a difference between being alone and loneliness, right? Being alone is not loneliness. Being alone could be a choice, right? Because being alone, it's also important in your life. And we'll talk about that, in a few minutes to come, right? But loneliness is not just being alone. It's just that it's just telling you are not rightly engaging. That's all. And you can do something about it. You have to do something about it because it only gets worse, right? And we spent time talking about that earlier on. If you look for our video on loneliness, I believe that's part of chapter 4. You'll get some more things about it. But the way you solve loneliness is not by praying. It's not by going to see a prophet. It's by connecting. Loneliness is the absence of connection, or the right amount of connection in your life. The way to solve it is to increase your connection. The way to solve hunger is not to pray, is to eat. The way to solve thirst is to drink. The way to solve headache is to go take a Panadol, or to sleep, or to rest, or to get some kind of, your body's telling you you're stretching yourself too much. So it says reduce it. When it comes to loneliness, it's connection. It's engaging. And you might be limited based on whatever your social fitness might be. But you can get better. You can do better. You are not a prisoner of where you are today. You can build your social fitness, just like you can build your physical fitness. Because you don't have strength in your physical body today, it's not a sentence of death. You can do something about it. You can get better. You can go to the gym. You can begin to tone your body. You can begin to do power training. You can begin to jog. You can begin to work, right? And you don't have to jump into it, because you can kill yourself. You can hurt yourself. You suddenly jump into it because your body is elastic. The same way your mind is elastic. You don't just jump into the gym. You need to have a program of breaking into it, because if you don't break into it, you can hurt yourself. The same way when it comes to connection, you don't just jump, I'm going to just, people that are in extreme loneliness just jump. They just want to make 100 friends in one day. Life does not work that way. You got to break into it. You got to make one friend fast. Maybe have a friend. Before you can get to the 100, you got to learn how to grow. Before you work, you got to learn how to work. Before you run, you got to learn how to run before you fly, right? That is the way life is lived. Some people decision talk about suddenly. God did not create any suddenly. Have you ever seen suddenly in nature? No, everything nature does is traceable. It builds to a climax. But people that want to deceive you, that want to confuse you, that want to steal from you will be telling you about suddenly. There are no suddenly in nature. Nature climaxes. It builds to a climax. The same thing about your life. If you're going to begin to be socially fit, you gotta build it. You gotta begin to do the things that will give you social fitness in little bits. In little bits that you don't hurt yourself. You don't put yourself in difficult, risky environment. Right? There's a level of risk you can bear if you have not been exposed to being risky before. You gotta manage it, because you're going to have feedback from that. You don't want to extend yourself so much that when you get hurt, you don't have anything left to go back again. You gotta fight today so that you can fight tomorrow. Right? You gotta fight and live enough to fight again tomorrow. You gotta build it one step at a time to your climax. Right? There are no suddenlies in nature. Don't expect suddenlies in your social circle. Right? Learn to be a friend with one person. Then learn to be a friend with 2 people. Then grow. You are gonna get feedback from everyone that you do. right? You're going to have a lot of battles on the inside of you. And I'm saying this as someone who's been through it, has been through it. Again, I tell you, I can look at the screen right now and not feel anything, but I wasn't born this way. I have not always been like this. I have grown into it. I have climaxed into it. I have learned how to do it. That's why this is easy for me, right? Because I grew through it. I grew through it, right? I walked on all the feedbacks. I put my leg out. I feel, oh, what did they take? What did they take? You know, I put myself again. I go back again. Over time, I've done that so much. People think I'm an extrovert. I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert, right? But I look like an extrovert because I have practiced. I have practiced what I need to do to get my life to where my life needs to be, right? I have practiced, and by reason of practice, I have built social fitness. So it's easier for me to make friends today. It's easier for me to maintain friends today. I've gotten feedbacks. You know, I've made mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm doing better. I'm doing better, right? I look like a professional at doing it today, but I wasn't born that way. I learned. I made mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. That's why I can share with you almost like a guru today, almost like a professional today, but I wasn't born this way, right? I learned to get here. All right. So the only way you're going to get deliverance from loneliness is by making connections, right? And when we talk about connections, it's about coming to a place where you are known, you're seen, you're understood, you're valued, you are remembered, and you are cared for. In the process of doing it and trying to get that for yourself, you're also doing it for the person you're trying to connect with. So to be able to be known, you got to know the person you're trying to connect to. To be seen, you have to see the person you're trying to connect with. To be understood, you have to understand the person you're trying to connect with. To be valued, you have to value the person you're trying to connect with. To be remembered, you have to remember the person you're trying to connect with. To be cared for, you gotta care for the person you're trying to connect with. So my beloved brother, just in Canada, just came around last week and called me just some few minutes before we started here, and you see, he remembered me. That's connection, right? And I was also talking to him in ways that I remembered him, shared with him how much I've been tracking him on LinkedIn. What that makes him feel? It makes him feel seen. Just like he's seeing me, I'm also seeing him. When it comes to connection, it's a two-way track, right? Don't forget we talk about healthy relationship. Healthy relationship is never one way, right? Healthy relationship is a relationship where each one comes because of what they can give, not what they can receive. It's what they can give, not what they can receive, right? But what keeps them in that relationship is what they receive, not what they give. It's called the paradox of relationship, right? So when you come into a healthy relationship, you're coming because you want to make the person you're engaging with to be known. You want to make the person you're engaging with to be seen. You want to make the person you're engaging with to be understood. You want to make the person you're engaging with to be valued. You want to make the person you're engaging with to be remembered. You want to make the person you're engaging with to be cared for. But if all you do is that, you will not last in that relationship. You will not have a connection. What makes that relationship to last is because as you are given, you are also receiving, right? You are being known, you're being seen, you're being understood, you're being valued, you're being remembered, and you're being cared for. It's a two-way traffic, but it starts by giving, right? You got a soul to reap. You got a soul to harvest, right? All right, let me welcome Toba here. Toba, how are you doing?
I'm good. Happy Sunday, sir.
Happy Sunday. Good to have you. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, great. I was church.
Fine, thank you. Just
Awesome.
coming.
Awesome. Good. So we're doing the second part in chapter 5. Title of chapter 5 is Attention to Relationship. Your best investment, attending to relationship, investing in relationship. That's what we're talking about. So second sitting on chapter 5, I was hoping that we're going to go through a lot today. But I've spent so much time expatiating on a lot of things. I'm not sure if we'll finish all I have for today. I was thinking we'll finish it next week, but with how I'm spending on just the first part, maybe we'll have another 2 sessions to finish chapter 5, but we'll see how it goes. But pretty much just talking about how we need to invest in our relationship to get the best value from it, and just talking about loneliness, right? Loneliness is like headache or hunger pangs, right? It just tells you something is amiss in your life. That's what it is, If you ever feel lonely, it's not a devil. It's not a cause. The only thing it's telling you is that you're not having the right level and quantity and quality of relationship in your life. You're not making the right connections or the right quantity of connections in your life. That's all it's telling you. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So the solution is not prayer. The solution is to connect, is to relate. Right. Yes, you can pray about God, help me to relate. But prayer is not the end of it. Prayer is a catalyst to it. But until you relate, your loneliness will always be there. Right. And it's all about spending time with God. Yeah, when you feel lonely, it's not talking about spending time with God. It's spending time with other people. Yeah, there is a place for God, no doubt. And that's not loneliness. That's being alone with God, right? That when you feel lonely, it's that you're not having the right quantity and quality of engagement with other people in your life, right? And the only solution to it is to engage, is to have those connections. If you don't, you're always going to feel lonely. It's not going to be solved by activity. Some people try to solve it by activity. They now go do more things. They go to church more often. Yeah, they pray, they evangelize. All of that will solve your loneliness, right? It's not just being in the midst of people. It's about having a one-to-one engagement with other people, right? To the extent that you find a connection. You feel known, you feel seen, you feel understood, you feel valued, you feel remembered and cared for. If you don't have this, you have not solved the problem of loneliness, even though everybody knows your name. Everybody calls you brother. Everybody thinks you are the best thing since sliced bread. If it cannot affect you psychologically to the place where you feel known, you feel seen, you feel understood, you feel valued, you feel remembered and cared for, you're still going to be lonely. So no surprise when you have people that are popular. This other guy that committed suicide used to be a comedian, makes every other person happy, every other person laugh, but yet he committed suicide. I remember this lady, Tasha, talk about the fact how she used to feel lonely after she has finished ministration. She has led worship, everybody's worshiping God. Then after she finished, she feels lonely, she feels depressed, right? Because she didn't give. Right? And she was giving to the congregation, not to individuals. So she was not in a place where she could, because as being human, you want to relate with another being, another human, not a crowd, right? You don't just want to be lost in the crowd. So you can be lonely even though everybody knows you, because it's a personal, individual connection such that you come out of it that you feel known, not popular, but someone knows you, someone knows your name, someone knows what you are going through. You can feel someone cares. You can feel that you are not invisible. Someone in it feels that you matter. Someone knows your pain and they care, right? And if you don't get to that point, your loneliness will not be solved, right?